Okay, we start with مثل العادي يا سعادة. Great company. We got long at 7, 10, 14, 28, 25, dips to 25, selling puts everywhere. Own it for the long term. They've delivered earnings in 15 days. The question is, how much upside has been priced in? I don't know. This could be $60 in 2 days. It could be $30 in 2 days. In 2 weeks, sorry. I am not sure. So if I'm an investor, that doesn't scare me if it goes to 30, unless I piled in here everything. If I wanted to own 1,000 shares and I just bought them, well, you're a stronger person than I am. My risk appetite would say, no, Nick, take half and let's see if it gets down to 20s again or 30s again before you add the second half. So you can look at my screen and you can see anything around below 30 is a solid base. The craziness of 8 and 7 and 10 may be done forever. Maybe not. I don't know. But anything below 30 looks like a solid starting point or a place where I can add to my position if I just got started here. Don't stay out of it if you don't want to, but don't go all into it either. Solid company, the OG of AI trades. They've been at it for a long time. PayPal. I don't like it up here. I was a fan on the way down. I wouldn't short it. I just don't like it up here. I think competition is strong, and it's not evident from the sales lines. You know, they're still doing okay. But there are so many alternatives right now, and the competition is in the social media too, which is pretty weird, which tells me that it's a battle. So from here to 86, it's difficult resistance, which leaves it vulnerable to dips, maybe to 74, 73. If you're okay being long and experiencing, I don't know, $6 to $8 of downside, $6 or $8 of downside, then you can be long. If you're looking to go long on dips, that is the thing. So I can justify a drop to 70, plus or minus a buck or two. And that would be a buy the dip moment for this. Earnings in 9 days. I don't know what they're going to say, nor do I know how people will react to it. Qualcomm. It's a buy the dip on any given day. These white lines are not my forecast. This a great company. I bought the dip for us on every dip blindly. So as cautious as I am, I would sell naked puts in this one, ARM, NVIDIA, Microsoft. I wouldn't do it in Apple because I don't want to own shares in Apple. And a couple of other companies where I would blindly sell puts to own shares lower. This is one of them. So if this white arch has been played out once already, and this might be a second time. So if we fall into 156, they're going to find support. If for whatever reason we fall below it, they might drift lower towards 140. So investing here is not bad. Just don't go all in. Leave room to add on a holy crap moment that comes out of nowhere and through no fault of its own. Earnings in 2.5 weeks. See, this one is the exact opposite. You couldn't pay me to be long this company or any companies like it. Restoration Hardware. Look at this chop in the stock price and look at how boring the P&L is. So explain that to me. When I can't match the price action in the chart to the P&L, I just don't trade them. They're just too wild. Look left. This has been a prior fail zone from here to 400. So I wouldn't touch it up here. If I'm invested for the long term, good for you. Enjoy it. Sell covered calls if you can. If you're looking to get engaged, leave room to add at 300 because there's no reason why it's not at 280 on the next market correction. ROKU, we used to trade it all the time. It fell from high heaven to hell, and now it's halfway back. Anything between here and 88 should be difficult. So the easy rally has played out. Anything between here and 88 should be difficult. So it's how it makes money is still a mystery to me. I recently bought a TV. Not one time did I hear ROKU, and they tell me it's inside every TV. Well, I bought a TV. It's not inside my TV that I know of. It is a Google-based TV, Android. But during my shopping for the TV, not one time that I saw Fire TVs. I saw TVs that have this operating system or Samsung operating system. Not one of them said ROKU, unless they're actually behind those two. Anyway, not an obvious starting point. The easy money has been made. Buy the dip into whatever, 70 or 66. Earnings in 10 days. RUT, I have a lot to say about it. I'll say it in the tonight's video. Look left, it's up against a prior fail from July. If it breaks out of it, it's gone. It will probably run 10% and challenge the all-time highs. SE, fintech company wrapped up in a gaming company, wrapped up in a something else, online shopping company. So the easy work has been done. It has a lot more upside it can earn, but we had such a hard time catching the falling knife on the way down that if I was long, I would enjoy it. I would not start longs here. SIRI, why? Okay, so descending channel usually breaks out, and the P&L is fairly stable. So I'm not sure why it's selling off like it's going out of business. So if you're an investor picking up some shares as an investment for the long term, that's fine with me. I just don't know why it's so wild. Maybe it had some buyout headlines or something. You should know that we are inside of 2012 area. So what? The stock market cannot stop rallying, and this one is going back to support from 2012. And nothing on the face of it that says why. So be careful with this. Schlumberger, look, it's doing what we thought it could do. Resistance failed right there. It's falling into support. And I said, if you wanted to get long, maybe you buy the dip, and this is your opportunity. Maybe you sold puts to get long. They just reported, it looks like. Okay. It's falling into support. And every time it fell before, in the past, since last year, in over a year, it's resulted in a lower low. So you have to respect that outcome. So this is still possible. Meanwhile, we're falling into support. I wouldn't add to my longs. I could try a long, but I wouldn't add to it. Silver finally exploded to catch up with gold. And, their asset class, all of it, fear, there's no fear in this world. The VIX is below 18, which is below its mathematical average by quite a bit now. So it's kind of like a perfect scenario. I wouldn't short it. I wouldn't go long it up here either. But silver, if you're investing in it like gold, like buy a little bit over time. And this is not the time to buy any. Just, I don't know, as an investment, I just don't see the reason to jump in all in now. SMCI, I wouldn't touch it for myself. Let's put it this way. If SMCI is rallying, NVIDIA is rallying too, I would rather put my money in NVIDIA. So this one could pay you more because it's so volatile. Because it at one time rallied and dropped 40 and 30% for no reason, just for giggles. I think those days are over. Earnings in 9 days, it's going to be a wild ride. Let's say you want to speculate on the earnings. I can't blame you. You could make a zillion. Just make sure you don't risk a zillion doing it. Wild. So 44 or lower, strong support. Catalyst above the prior highs from the last 10 days to get you to 58, 59, maybe even 60. Snap, I wouldn't touch it with your money. Nothing good about this company. Nothing. Management sucks from a standpoint of getting people excited about its stock. I wouldn't trade it. If you're investing in it for the gap, that is the wrong thing to do. You might get a gap filled, but it's the wrong thing to do. So do your thing. Invest in it, trade it. Trading wise, you have a catalyst at 1120 that could get you to 12. You can buy the dip into 980 or lower, you will get a lot of support. So that's what I would do now. Just trade it. And if you're an investor for the long term, just sleep on it. SOFI, not for me up here. In fact, it's an avoid, it's a book, it's a get out. If we do have a consumer problem, I think SOFI right there, right in the front of it. So exciting company. We bought every dip below 6 and every dip we considered below 7. Up here, most definitely not. Just look left and ask these guys and these guys. What happened the last time you invested in it? Not for me. It could go to 12. It's going to have to do it without me. Square, same. Not for me. And Square is they have other things going on. I mean, I'm a client of Square. I don't like being their client. It's pretty weird. But anyway, breakout from 69 or 70. That could get to 80. But every level above here is resistance. Look from prior statements. So buy the dip if you want to get engaged with it. That would be ideal. If you're long, you can enjoy it. If you want to get long, make sure you leave room to add later in case it goes against you. I don't know what this is. SVOL. What is this? Simplify volatility. Daily investment results of what? Okay, so I don't know what that is. Come into the live room, educate me on it. The chart, pretty wild. I don't know what this is down here. That's the correction in August. Yeah, this is not tradable for me. Just be careful. Truist, I've heard of them. All right. Just like every other, this is crap. This PNL, what? How do you go from making 7 billion to 1 billion and then back to 8 billion? Yeah. Do your homework on an investment basis. Do your homework on the investment basis. Charting wise, they did well going above 40. One would assume anything below 40 now becomes support. 40, 38 is good support. And the same logic tells you that anything above 46 is difficult and an exit zone. 47 should be death. So use those lines accordingly. Tesla, what do they do? Oh, yeah. They sell every car around me. Every car around me is a freaking Tesla. I stop at a red light. If I have 6 cars, 4 Teslas. Me and somebody else. Toyota. 3 days until earnings. I don't know what to tell you. I think people love to hate this guy. And his last event was a joke. And I'm a fan of the Tesla concept. But to me, as a car company, this should be 2 digits. So it's super expensive up here. But it's not a car company. But they just said it's a car company because he basically kicked the can on anything that's not a car company 2 years, a year and a half to 2. So I don't like it up here for me. But technically, I see it at 240 easily or 195 easily. So it is a trade. Buy the dip if it comes, or hold it and hold your breath over the earnings. The reaction to the earnings, you're clueless. If you don't know that you're clueless about it, I'm telling you here. If you go long because of blah, 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 you're wrong. You don't know. Flip a coin, you'll be just as right. So whatever you think you know about the earnings, you don't. Come into the live room. We'll look at the options. Maybe the options will have clues. But if you go long because the report is going to be great, you're making a mistake short term. It's not about the report being great or bad, okay? The ASML report wasn't bad. It was treated like it was toxic. The reports in other companies that are not that great and they skyrocket. It's all about expectations. So you should admit that there's a lot of guessing going long with confidence or going short with confidence over the earnings. Good P&L, but not great. So valuation is stretched up here. TTD, not an obvious entry point, clearly. I don't know if I care enough to short it. If I wanted to go long, I would put an alert below 100. Definitely for me, below 96. Ideally, closer to 80 the better. Nick, you're going to wait for 2 years. Then I'll wait for 2 years. There's 1,000 other stocks I can chase. United Airlines, I'm short and being punished. Luckily, it was a simple short. So they took the breakout technically to do the unthinkable on the most boring report. So most boring P&L. Look at this P&L. Nothing in it says, woo, let's go to the moon. It's just a relief pop on something. So if you're looking to get long, enjoy. I would never do it. And enjoy it as much as I'm enjoying my losses on the puts or whatever I did with it. I can't remember. I haven't added to it. I'm going to see what happens this week. I think Southwest reports this week. We'll see what happens. Uber, a good company to hold over long term. If you're an owner, you shouldn't worry about it. If you're looking to be an owner, I would get involved with the stock by selling puts and get assigned like a synthetic position unless it crashes. So on the next market crash, I may get involved. Now, it's not growing as fast as I want it to. At one point, I said this is Amazon. They're trying to be Amazon. Well, I don't think they're growing on a quarterly basis for me to be impressed with that. I thought his goal was to aggregate a bunch of businesses, like he wanted to be in education and space travel, whatever, and not just people mover. I mean, they do have, I think, 6 businesses, maybe, give or take. But that's not developing the same speed that Amazon developed with. So we'll see. It's a good investment. Entry-wise, you're just going to have to be a little picky. Specifics, 75, 73, and 70 are good support levels. Anything inside that orange box is a good support level. ULTA, I would hold along. I would have bought the dip here. It beeped at me to go long. It hit targets we had too. It's still okay. I mean, it is still possible to come down to 345. So I would not hold longs here. And I could start a long, but I don't like what's going on. They cannot get out of 380. They need to get out of 380. I guess the better way for me to say it, as long as they're below 380, I cannot tell you it won't retest the low they just placed. Target 1 of this green M is 382.50, so I would love to see them up there. I am long by short a put on a put spread. Buying Expedia, Tesla to Expedia, I don't get what you're saying there. UNG, we already discussed. It's a decent long with stops. If you've never traded natural gas, put your seatbelt on before you do. It is definitely something I would take. Luckily, it's a cheap stock in the sense where it's a low dollar stock that you can buy shares. Probably better than buying calls because time is not an element of concern. But buying calls is also low dollar, so don't get fancy with it. Go out in time and buy an at or in the money call. I will probably send out something about it this week. Hopefully we'll have an opportunity. The dollar is on a tear because we're the only ones that are cutting rates. No, we're not cutting rates. Everybody else is. So here's the story. We had a continued QE from the ECB that keep cutting rates, and China, to name 2. Canada as well, I think. They're cutting rates too. Our Fed said we're going to cut rates. And the day they told us that, since then, rates have risen. So they might plan on cutting rates. The market is saying, I don't think so. So the actual market in the US, the rates are climbing. Go check the mortgage rates. They have inched up since the Fed event. So we'll see how that progresses and how the dollar behaves with that. So this is a resistance level for the dollar. If we break out of 29.20 on the UUP, I don't know where they go. And that definitely does not speak about cutting rates anytime again this year. So, and we'll see what happens. What this says is that the gold and silver rallies are incredible because this puts pressure on any rallies in gold and silver. And look at what they're doing in the face of this strong dollar. So we clearly have some major things going on in the US, and this is one of them. This is not a reason to short, but if you wanted to play puts on the UUP, you absolutely can. Luckily, again, it's a cheap trade. So let's see if we can do it. Like in the money, January or December puts, 29 maybe, just below current price. Don't go cheap. Don't go cheap. This is not a starting point. Unless you have a thesis that we're going to break out there. Okay, so who is this? Vodafone. I don't like this P&L. The dwindling year over year and quarter over quarter. So not for me. If you lose 9.5, you're going to go to 9.2. And you have a lot of resistance above. So you might get to 9.9 and 10 is going to be exit point. Vertiv. resistance, they broke out of it like it wasn't there. Whoa, my God. Okay, so not only they broke out, they made a higher high. Up here, it's not an obvious entry, and if you believe in harmonics, it says maybe you're going to get an entry opportunity below 99 or 98 in the next few weeks. Earnings in 3 days, so buy the dip. If you want to go long into the earnings, that's on you. I don't know anything about it fundamentally. So if you're an investor with confidence, consider selling some covered calls. Victoria's Secret. Target zones have been met. Super choppy stock. I think it's a meme stock. It's not for me. If I'm an investor, I'm looking to buy the dip into 23. If I'm a trader, I would expect some resistance. And if they take out 30.9, they probably get to 38. So trading, yes. Investing, not for me. This red W here says it goes to 26.4 and maybe even 25.2. Vistra. How many of these have we had? Stocks that are in the stratosphere for no particular reason. I mean, what is going on with these companies? What is this company? What does it do? Holding company engaged in provision of electricity. Okay, so nuclear power. All right, so this concept better play out. So I have a question. Please write to me, explain to me. So now, do we not have legal hurdles to private companies opening nuclear power plants? How does that work? I honestly don't know. I would like to educate myself on that. Where do I start? Like, I saw a headline about Amazon investing in nuclear power because of the demand on search and a couple of other companies like that. How does that work? Like if we can't trust countries to not have blowups in nuclear power, and I believe every country that has had one has had a problem, how are we allowing companies to do that? I mean, what is the legal hurdle in the US? I say that because we have had self-driving capabilities for a long time, but we don't have it because of legal limits. So what are the legal limitations for the expectations of this upside? I would love to know what you guys think. Otherwise, own it for the future promise. But, if you look left, this is 1 year's worth of data. So a year ago, the stock was 27. That's all I have to say. A year ago, the stock was 27. Go long, I guess. I don't know. Not for me. I wouldn't touch it until I know the answer to my questions. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a popular talking point, but how realistic legally is that? I don't know. I'm gonna go ask ChatGPT one day if I care enough. Okay, Verizon, one of those mystery rallies that I cannot explain. Again, someone explained to me, other than the fact that it's a dividend stock, how does it fall all the way down to here, which I thought it was a bargain. Remember, we sold puts and we almost got assigned and all of this. Some people did get assigned. Good luck. I mean, thank God if you did. Earnings in 2 days. How much upside has been priced in from going into the earnings? That's the risk. Fundamentally, the company is on rails. I love that as a dividend payer. In fact, it was a long for me. It said, go along the stock. You're going to get a solid dividend payer. And this guy is like Apple. They have dream clients, Verizon. Their clients think that they're above and beyond everybody else. And they're not cheap, so they don't give away things for free. So it's a good stock to own for the long term. Here, I'm not so sure I would start longs. Look left. There was a massive level that they have to deal with. Maybe the company comes out and delivers a bit of news that gets them over the hurdle and you get to 55. So there is upside potential on that. Just I don't know the message from the company on the earnings and how it will be received. Who is this now? WYNN. Yeah, I would have exited. So this is a China rally on Macau news. So let's put it this way. Huge resistance, multiple time failing here. This is the mother of all headlines that got it there from China. So now it's up to the company to deliver the second shot in the arm to get them above there. So if the company in a couple of weeks is able to deliver enough reasons for investors to go above 113, you might be able to get to 128 through 132, but that's a big if. Meanwhile, they left the dust of very weak candles. This path is super weak. The only saving grace is that we went down it relatively slowly. So maybe there's enough consolidation here. So 93 would not surprise me. 90 would not surprise me. Anything below that would become a pretty solid support. So buy the dip moment, yes, for the opportunity to curl and somehow explode. I'm not so sure I want to do that, but that's what the process would be for me. XLF, I can't explain it. Everything I said about JP Morgan applies here. Banks are making money hand over fist. Our Fed is handing them hundreds of millions of dollars in free money with their policies. The Fed is like babysitting the banks because they don't want another Lehman moment. We will never have another Lehman moment. Therefore, the government will lie, steal, cheat, and do anything it can in order to protect the banks, period. I don't know how this will end, to be honest. Somebody in this room here said, what, XLF to 54 by the end of the year. Okay, ride it. I would bet against it, and I will bet against it as soon as I get a tangible number. I probably rather fight specific charts. Like I find it easier to fight JP Morgan chart rather than the XLF chart. Any which way you slice it, it's long in the tooth, and let's hope the thesis continues. The industrials, it's all about things like Caterpillar, LMT is in there, GE is in there. I believe GE reports earnings soon, in 2 days. So Boeing is in there. It's a tough short on the industrials. It's a breakout, just like the whole thing. It's even better than let's put it this way. Why are the industrials doing better than high tech? Isn't that crazy? So we're rallying on a thesis of AI. Why are banks and industrials and staples doing better than high tech, which are AI? This is like the most insane thing that nobody can explain to me. This is the problem I have with this rally. So the way to explain it is wait until AI wakes up, but it's already woken up and we're already in the stratosphere. So we'll see how that plays out. So you're going to tell me that AI is going to wake up and run with these guys and we go to 7,000 SPX? Okay. So in other words, we will have the mother of all inflation situation. That's my take. So too late to start longs in the industrials, but I have to respect the fact that they're trading with the banks better than tech. So the way I would trade this is long NVIDIA to 190. That's basically what I would do, because they have to catch up. XLK, speaking of which, look at it. Do something, XLK. Your industrial sisters and brothers. Hell, Coca-Cola is doing better than you. Let me see. Pretty much. And it's Coca-Cola. Okay. I digress. XLK. Looks like they are trying to break out from 222 and 227. And this is an easy target. So I can justify being at 255 just with a couple of good green days. And personally, if I wanted to invest in it, I would wait for dips. So I would be a seller of puts or put spread. If you get a gift for it to be below 220 and 215, take it. XLP, staples. I'm short via Coke. I closed the other ones, but I would roll out of Coke into this one because Coke reports and I don't want to lose my profits. I'm up 80% or whatever. So I may get rid of my Coke and replace it with a short on the XLP. I haven't decided. Staples should not be this exciting. And what is this? Look back in the charts. I bet you probably never find one of these that is untouched. So it's not the kind of stock that gaps up and goes. I would be shocked. So I would say if I were to engage long for an investment in the staples, it wouldn't be until it hits 78 or lower. We'll see. Any breakout of 83.50 could give it enough to take it to 87. So I do respect that. Utilities, same exact concept. So I'm pretty sure there's a play on this versus rates. So these are rising in the face of the concept of the Fed is going to lower rates, because typically these are dividend payers. But I think there's another element in here. Some of these companies, correct me if I'm wrong, might be part of the companies running on this nuclear thought. So it's a no touch for me, because I don't understand this nuclear element until I figure it out. If you're using this to trade the nuclear thing, good on you. From this chart, this says it's gone. So it's a momentum trade, short term. Investment wise, I would like to see a dip closer to 80, ideally 78. If you lose 78, you go to 74, but that's like years. I mean, it looks impossible, but that's what it is. XLV Healthcare. So XLV also was a hero this week with the XLF, and this is a big chunk of the S&P. So I guess if the S&P needs another story to rally on, this would be it. If you get the XLV to 156, 55 and change, you can get it to 158, and that would help goose the S&P. Right now, itself is stuck. You have sellers above 154.50 and buyers into 151. And that's the battle. Let me see if I can take out all the numbers. Okay. And so if it doesn't break out of 156, it's probably going to drift lower towards 146 or 145. Anything below 148 is solid support. We discussed Chevron. I told you it's trading better than, worse than Exxon. This is proof. I would have shorted Exxon at the top. In fact, I did for like 1 day or two. But I didn't send it out. I mentioned it to people that were in the live room, and I never took it a bit large enough to expand on it. But anyway, not an obvious entry point from an investment perspective. Good company to pick up on dips. Just put an alert whenever it crashes. Load up. Okay, ZBRA, it's one of those stocks that makes the news every once in a while. Earnings are in 9 days. Anything you do between now and 9 days, if you take it through the earnings, you're gambling. P&L, I don't know anything about it. You look left, I tell you the price action above 400 to 420 has been difficult. Do I have lines? I don't. So if I were to raise awareness, it would be this area. There's actually one candle in there, this one, that tells me that this is a zone to look at. So 426 is a problem. Anything above that is borrowed time. Meanwhile, this breakout is pretty impressive, or an attempt to break out. A dip into 280 or lower would be viable. Don't be surprised to see it below 260 at one point on a headline reaction. So amazing trend. Buy the dip. ZI. So this was an acquisition target. If I bought the stock and I'm down, I would stay in it. Period. End of story. If I'm buying the stock now, it's not that crazy. If I'm selling puts to get assigned shares, it's definitely not crazy. As long as I realize that it's a speculative bet, but over the long term, I think I'll make money. I wouldn't panic out. Zscaler, I would panic out. No, I'm kidding. This one is not for the faint of heart. It made us a lot of money, and we win with it here and there, and it extends. Look at these ticks. Look at them. They're so symmetrical. You see that? Okay, so this says a couple things. If we break out of 208, it goes to 250. And it is totally okay to revisit anything at 160 and 155. And if you lose 155, you're going to probably test the 120. And this is the kind of stock that will do that in both directions. It'll be so fast and so violent you can't even breathe. That's why you trade it and you scalp it. So this white path is still not out of the woods. We are still struggling with my letter R. Big pivot zone. They can do it. They just need a reason. Earnings are in 38 days, not soon enough. Super fast runner. Only for those who have a very strong risk appetite. And with that, folks, this is the last ticker of the day. I will have a video later tonight. Thank you for watching at home. Try to make it in here. We have 51 people. Woo! Thank you for being here, folks.